Thank you. All right, we are talking about Fletcher-class destroyers again. It is today, actually, is the 80th anniversary of the commissioning of the USS The Sullivans, which is the Fletcher-class destroyer now on display at the Buffalo Naval Park in Buffalo, New York. Let's see. My name is Ken Stano with the YouTube channel History X, and you can check us out on historyxchannel.com. Thank you for watching. It's a special live crossover broadcast. We typically do these the second Wednesday of each month, Museum Ship Mafia. But today, like I said a few moments ago, the 80th anniversary of the commissioning of the USS The Sullivans. So that's why we're on here at this time and day, Saturday evening. So we've got 4 YouTube channels tonight, which is pretty cool. Normally we've got 3, but tonight it's 4. We've got the USS Slater's YouTube channel, of course, the YouTube channel of the Buffalo Naval Park. We've got History X, and tonight, because we've got Tim Nesmith on, the ship superintendent from the USS Kidd, we've also got the YouTube channel for the USS Kidd Veterans. It's Veterans Museum, correct?
Correct.
All right. So let's see. On with us tonight, we've got, let's see, Stephen from the Buffalo Naval Park, Tim Nesmith, the superintendent for the USS Kidd, and behind the scenes, last and definitely least, is Connor Kilgore from the. No, it's always good to have Connor on. He is spinning the dials and pulling the levers, monitoring the questions and comments. And he is also the admin for the Museum Ships Facebook group, but primarily he is with the Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay, the Canadian Coast Guard icebreaker Alexander Henry. Did I get that right, Connor?
Yep.
All right. So like I always say, we can't do this without subscribers and viewers. So please submit your comments and questions. Let us know where you're from, what the temperature is where you are, and where you're watching us. Are you watching us on the Slater, the kids' YouTube channel, maybe History X, or the Buffalo Naval Park? Let's see. Let's get right into it. So we normally have Shane, and he might be joining us in a little bit. But of course,
he's slacking.
What's that?
He's slacking tonight.
Yeah, that's all right. So, but we've got Stephen, and he's going to tell us about basically what we're going to be talking about, Stephen, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Sullivans' entry into the Cold War, correct?
Sure, if that's what you want to talk about.
Let's see. All right, we just got a note from Shane. He said he's going to be on with us in about 8 minutes.
All right. Yeah, so today we actually had a little celebration. I don't know if anybody watched it on our live stream. We did live stream it. I left all the tripods in my truck, and I took my wife's car today, so I had to hold it with a shaky hand, so I do apologize about that. But it was great. We had a few people come up and talk. We had 2 Sullivans veterans that were there. They helped cut the cake. We had a big cake, birthday cake. I probably should have sent some pictures over to you, Ken, to put on there.
Well, like I said, Shane sent me a few of the Sullivans, but these are from the history, not from anything that occurred today.
Oh, I meant of like today's stuff that we did today. Okay. But yeah, I mean, it's been a great celebration. We did a celebration in April as well, where we had Kelly Sullivan come down, and her daughter, who reenacted the christening on the ship, and yeah.
Well, looks like Michael was able to check it out.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Yeah. Let's see. So, what did I hear you say? You actually had veterans on board?
Yeah. So we had 2 USS The Sullivans veterans on as part of the ceremony today.
Okay.
And they were so towards the end of the ceremony, we did a cake cutting, and they helped cut the cake, or like that first initial cut.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it they were Cold War era veterans of.
Yeah, one was like Korean, like around Korean War, and one was 61 to 63.
Okay.
I just remember one was in the 50s, and the other one specifically was 61 to 63.
Okay.
So when these guys come on, do they recognize the ship possibly as it was when they were on board? Do they make comments like that?
Yeah. In fact, I had somebody not too long ago, and um, whoever was giving them the tour, they had they found their friend's locker, and his name was like still not, like somebody that he served with, and his name was still on it, or like something he wrote was still on it. So like,
Really?
yeah. So often we get people that come and be like, I got to see if that's still there, or if this, a lot of the graffiti and stuff, especially, I know we're talking about the Sullivans, but especially on the Little Rock, like it's still there. So people might like remember things like that. In fact, we did a video on that, and I believe it was on the Little Rock, where somebody had painted something down by the boilers, and we actually did like a little reconnaissance to see if it was there, and it wasn't. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like they come back on, and they remember, like it just hits them, like they never left almost. But more often than not, that's the response that we get for sure.
We a couple weeks ago, we finally had Ryan Szymanski on from the Battleship New Jersey, and he made the comment that every once in a while, and I guess this really bothers him, every once in a while people will come on board and expect to see the ship in its World War II configuration. And the Sullivans, how would you describe the way it's set up right now?
Yeah, she's in her like mid to late 50s era, so definitely more Korean War, Cold War era, but not World War II, which I get it. Like she did have a lot of service, and her namesake obviously has the World War II connection. So I understand that people might want to see that when they come in. Currently, right now though, she is in her 56, I think Shane said.
56.
I
Okay.
could be, don't quote me on that. All right, like Sam says 58 to 66. He would definitely know. More than I would, but yeah.
Yeah, it's
Because
interesting.
he built, I don't know if you guys know Lego history, Sam. I'm sure he's been introduced by Shane on the show, but he built like a Lego model of the Sullivans, which was just unbelievably awesome. So I would take his word for it.
Well, and I do think it's interesting. Ryan made this comment, and it's like, a lot of people will come on board and get upset that they aren't seeing it in its World War II configuration. But if you were to do away with the way the ship was retired, and to get it back to a World War II configuration, then you're just screwing with all kinds of other history.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Ken, because like, we look at World War II, but even Korea, like it's called the Forgotten War. And then she had some time during the Vietnam War. So what, why would we disregard that?
Yeah, and I can imagine these veterans that you had on today for the 80th commissioning of the USS The Sullivans would have been a little upset if you did away with some of their history, because you're watching them go around. It's like, well, I wonder if my friend's locker is still here and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I think that, I don't think people, when they say they want to see in the World War II, I don't think they mean anything by it, like, or like in a negative way. But I think maybe sometimes we don't think of that. World War II is like really, we're in the process of where veterans are leaving us very quickly, right? So we want to be able to honor them and thank them and show them what we've done as much as we can before we lose them. So I think that that's why people love the World War II setting. That's just kind of what I see from my job, which is fine, which is great. I just want to be able to make sure that, everybody feels represented when they leave the Buffalo Naval Park. At least for me, that's like a big thing.
Yeah.
Do me a favor and give me your version of why the USS The Sullivans is called the USS The Sullivans. And the reason we're focusing on the Sullivans is that tonight is the 80th anniversary of the commissioning of the USS Sullivans. So do me a favor and just give a quick rundown of that history.
Yeah, sure. So in 1942, the 5 Sullivan brothers were on the USS Juneau. 5 brothers from Iowa, ranging in age from 20 to 28, I believe, 27 or 28. all 5 were on board the ship, and she went down. For a torpedo is actually meant for the USS San Francisco. It went down so fast, it went down in about 20 seconds. Nobody thought there were any survivors. There were actually 100 left, one of which was, I believe it was George Sullivan. And basically, everybody died, unfortunately. There were 10 survivors left of the Sullivans, the USS Juneau ship. Which is a very unfortunate story. It was something like 7 or 8 days after the sinking that I think the final people were rescued. So it's like a really tragic story, not just for the Sullivan brothers, but for everybody and all the families that had people on that ship, especially that some of them could have survived, right, and didn't get that opportunity to. So the USS The Sullivans was actually supposed to be another ship, and the name escapes me. I'm trying to see if I could see it real quick, but regardless, it was renamed the Sullivans after the the 5 brothers, wow, I'm like pausing here. All right, so it was named after the 5 brothers. Alita and Tom were their parents. They would go around and do different things for war bonds. They had a sister, Genevieve, and they really kind of kept the spirit of the Sullivan brothers alive. They really could have kind of just went into seclusion or said we don't want anything to do with it, but they didn't. They were very involved in the Navy after that. And then it was great because Albert, who was the youngest, had a son, James. And James had 2 kids, John and Kelly, and they're still involved very much with not only our Sullivans, but DDG 68, and they really keep the spirit of the Sullivan brothers alive. So Kelly comes here all the time. We've been Shane and myself have been down to Waterloo, Iowa, to visit the Grout Museum. We visited Kelly. We visited some other people down there that are kind of like historians on the subject. It's very popular. I know that Albert's son, James, is still with us too, which is great. But yeah, that's the basic story. There you go, the Putnam. Thank you.
Is that what it was?
It was originally going to be the USS Putnam. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, let's see. It's a shame that Shane couldn't join us tonight, but we got Steven Tedesco from the Buffalo Naval Park, and he's giving us a little bit of the background. Let's see. Well, okay. I suppose we could bring him on. So, all right. So we knew Shane was going to be a little late because where were you? Where were you?
Huh? Oh, am I on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. I was actually the speaker for the CLG-5, USS Oklahoma City, and SSN 723 reunion closing dinner this evening. So that's where I was. Sorry, guys.
So all right. So
are you gonna put me on screen or not? Or
you are on screen.
You are
on screen.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Here. Yeah. Do you want a bigger picture? How about that?
My internet has been slow. No, my internet has been slow.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. It says add. Okay, good. But I'm sorry. It's still like in the corner. I'm blacked out. It says add to stage or not. So I see the 4 of you, and then the Sullivans, but I don't. Okay, that's helpful. I just didn't know I was on. Thank you.
Yeah. No.
So
you're totally
how's
on.
it going, everyone?
You're totally on. So I mean, I don't know if you can see. We've got Tim. We've got Connor. Steven's here.
Yep.
John has.
Yep.
Oh yeah. Someone was asking, where's John Epp? John Epp. He was on before we went live. We knew he was going to do this, but apparently he says he's dealing with some bronchitis, so he didn't want to ruin our gathering tonight. So he's watching. You can say hi, John Epp, if you want, but he is behind the scenes and didn't want to come on, which is no big deal.
No. Hi, John.
All right. So I've got Shane. I've got the pictures on that you sent. So what did you want to tell us tonight about the Sullivans?
Yeah, I mean, the picture, again, I'm sorry, I might be a little laggy here, but the picture that I have, page unresponsive. Okay, the picture that I just saw was the 1945 graded system, graded camouflage that I just saw. That is very similar to the kid because we were both refit in 45 towards the end of the war. And that's when they.
Oh,
the
wait
first
a
thing
second.
that-
Wait a second. So you're talking about this picture here.
Yeah,
which
sorry
is-
guys, I'm really lagging here.
Okay, well that's all right. Your audio's right on, but
okay.
I think
That's the measure 22.
I think I've got, where is that? I've got a picture. So, and this is the kid.
Yes.
Before the repainting, Tim, I apologize. So,
That's okay.
yeah. So that's what you're referring to, Shane, of the similar schemes, correct?
Yes. Now, your picture, if you just put the picture of the kid up, I am not seeing that right now. So that
Yeah,
might be
all
how
right.
much I'm lagging, but that's okay. So that 45, we were talking about post-war refits. That 45 is where they removed the Mark 14 quintuple between the forward Mark 14 quintuple torpedo tubes, and then added the quad Bofors. So that was the major, again, as Tim and I had discussed. The anti-aircraft threat, didn't know, really where was ending. Of course, there was some talk about them having to invade the Japanese home islands. And we were probably preparing to go back. And so to add the quads and take off one of the quintuple torpedoes, that was one of the major refits. And then, of course, the Measure 22 graded system as well. But I'm sorry, guys. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry I'm late. But Tim, did you kind of talk about your visit here, or?
No. Stephen was talking about the Sullivan brothers.
Very good. Yes,
Yeah, and the picture I've got up right now, I think, is where you're talking about. So what you're saying is that they removed one of the torpedo racks and
between the
replaced it
stat.
with. Okay.
Yes.
What are you laughing at?
And I just saw John App. I'm eating dinner too, or something. So,
Oh,
hi, Hulk Hogan's tights. I appreciate that. Yeah. So between the forward stacks, that Mark 14 quintuple was removed. I mean, I hope we do get to Tim's visit to the Naval Park. That was a fascinating thing, and we've uploaded a two-part video that a lot of people have watched so far. So that's great. But yeah, that was just one of the refits that that the Sullivans had over the course of her career.
and one of the other pictures that you gave me, it looked like it was of one of the mess areas with some bunks on the side.
Yeah.
I've got that image up here as well. What did you want to say about that?
Well, that was it's so interesting now because those are just displays in the mess decks. But we like to talk about, and Tim and I talked about it, that there was actual bunking in the mess decks. And that picture is from about 58. That's one of the very few pictures we have of the interior of the ship during service. And I think Tim can correct me if I'm wrong, but he also said that's kind of the same way with Kid. Pictures people would sneak pictures here and there where they could. But so that gives a really nice look at the tables, the different tables than we have now. So at some point from 58 to 65, they even just changed the tables where the crew would eat. And then, of course, those the pipe racking along the port and starboard side as well, leading then closer to the diesel generator and just aft of the mess deck too, which is pretty exciting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That looks very similar to Kid right now.
This picture that we have up right now.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, Tim. So you were at the Buffalo Naval Park after the HINSA conference, correct?
Correct.
So
last leg of a very long tour through New England.
So was that the first time you were at the Buffalo Naval Park?
First time ever, and it was not a disappointment. It was great. Shane spent almost the entire day walking around. I did not get to go around Little Rock that much, but got to see Croker, got to see Sullivans, and very informative. It's interesting. Kid was the very first ship I ever went on, and so I really never saw too many Cold War ships. Bama, just down the coast from us, is also in World War II configuration. Texas, of course, World War II configuration. So to see Cold War era ships, I have to really go across the country. And this was the first time I've ever been on another Fletcher, going to see Cass and Young on that Saturday, and then on Monday going to see Sullivans. So I have seen all but one of the Fletchers now. I have to go to Greece if I'm going to see the other one.
So let's all go.
Yeah, I think we should.
Yeah, Stephen, did
Pay
you?
for it.
Oh, there you go. I like that. Stephen, did you talk about the celebration today or anything? Or
Yeah, I briefly talked about what we did, and that there were 2 Sullivan veterans that came and helped us out during the ceremony. So I know one was 61 to 63. Do you remember what years the other guy served?
yeah, he was 56 to 59. So that was that photo of the mess deck. That would be right when he was on board, which is a fabulous thing. So I've been really pondering this, and it's taken me about 5 years to do this, I guess, since I started the Naval Park. But picking a year of service is so important to telling the story, the historical fabric, what you're adding, what potentially you're removing. And I'm really honing in on 1956 or 1958 for the Sullivans, or 1961, because we do have those Mark 32 triple torpedo tubes that were added in 61, so I don't want to get rid of those. So I might even push it to 1961 as her service, and I've been hemming and hawing.
Did we lose him?
Did he just
Yeah.
mute?
Looks like he muted his mic. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can unmute it.
I think you muted your mic, Shane.
I didn't mean to. I
Oh,
didn't touch him.
there.
There you are.
Yeah, you are. You're good. You're back on.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. So I don't know where I was. I'm sorry again, guys. But
He did it again.
Oh wait, are we doing that, or is he doing it?
I didn't touch it.
I didn't.
Technical difficulties. Shane, we can't hear you.
Hold on a second. Let me see if I can fix this. Nope.
Oh, let me try.
Uh-oh. He's pulling out his hair.
I don't know if it's on our end, but
I'm not. I can't unmute him. What the heck?
yeah, I can't either.
Try leaving and rejoining.
Huh?
hold on.
Oh, there he goes.
Oh wait,
There you are.
yeah, we got you.
Oh man, sorry about this, everybody.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it's and Stephen can attest. Our internet, I don't live far from work. Our internet has been going really shabbily over the past few days, and it's been affecting me here at home. So, again, apologies. But so I don't know if you heard 1956, 58, maybe even push it to 61, because we got the Mark 32 triple torpedoes, ASW torpedoes there that I do not want to remove. And I think there's some struggle, because that diminishes, doesn't take it away, but that diminishes World War II service a little bit, right? And you have to then focus on.
Before you came in, Sean, Shane, I don't know why I called you Sean.
You called your coworker Sean?
I know. I'm sorry. I am so out of it tonight. Okay, so
I'm glad no one's watching tonight. I'm glad it's just us to just like go back and forth. Yeah,
This is a dry run. It's a dry run.
Yeah, yeah.
We were actually talking about that, Shane, like about people questioning or wondering why it wouldn't be like a World War II fit. And I mean, to be like 61, you said, I think is a great time, because now you're talking about when she goes down to Guantanamo Bay, right, in the Caribbean. So, I mean, that's a story that maybe isn't told at every naval museum that we can focus on.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are other, World War II was 20 months and her service was 23 years, right? Or 22 years. And Tim, I know that you and I talked about this. Do you want to tell a little bit about like your stories of the kid and choosing 45? But then I think you and I talked about that if you were to choose a different year, you kind of have to minimize the World War II history and stuff.
Well, one of the reasons that it would kind of be difficult for you guys to go back to World War II is those 3-inch 50s, as we observed in the video when we were walking around. Those 3-inch 50s required a build out away from the original deck house and more like shoring up of the platform that they sit on and an extension of it. So for you to go backwards, you're going to have to like chop a lot of the superstructure of the ship. And when you start doing that, you're getting into some stuff with, displacement, changing your draft, all of that. And it gets tricky. So for you guys to stay in a Cold War era, I mean, that's honestly perfect. It's hard to walk backwards when you've got to structurally change the ship. For Kid, they didn't do that. They just pulled stuff off of her and never put the heavier weaponry on, didn't put the tripod mast, none of that. So when she came to Baton Rouge in 82 and the group that was here looked at her and they're talking with Rizzuto, it was an easy fix to say, let's aim for World War II. Nobody's been able to do it because you have to change the structure of the ship so much. With this, it's plug and play. Pull off those hedgehogs, put on 40 millimeters, twin 40 millimeters. Find a set of torpedo tubes, find quad 40s. It was just finding the equipment and putting it back on. So it was not as much of a structural issue. So I think staying in the Cold War rig for you guys is perfect because you're representing an era, like we were saying earlier. Everybody talks about World War II, but the guys in the Cold War served, and they actually did something the World War II generation didn't do. They had daily to live up to the fact that I may be incinerated at any moment with an atomic bomb. So, I mean, you guys represent a vital area there.
Very eloquently put, Tim. Thank you. Stephen, do you have, do you want to, is there anything that you want to mention about that we've talked about? I mean, and then we have to do it for 2 other vessels too, right? So, it's one of those things that we have to pick a year of service for the Little Rock and the Croaker, and all have been configured, right? All of them have major. It would be like saying, take the USS Little Rock back to World War II. We just, the superstructure is totally, the superstructure is ripped off. The Cleveland class is impossible to do. So focusing on the Cold War atomic era is the way to do it.
Yeah, and I think it's you always see Vietnam veteran hats and World War II veteran hats. You don't necessarily see Korean War veteran hats, but you definitely don't see like Cold War era hats or anything like that, which kind of just, the story doesn't get talked about as much. And like the fact that, Tim had a great point. Not only could they be incinerated at any moment, so could the Eastern Seaboard or anywhere else that we were under this constant threat. That was legitimate. It was a legitimate threat.
Yeah.
Hey, Shane, one of the pictures that you provided was actually, it looked like some blueprints or some schematics of the aft. What was that about?
Yeah, that is, again, I'm sorry if you're pulling it up. I still have the graded system 1945 image on my computer. So I'm sorry if that's been taken down or so. That's one of the things, I'm walking around with Tim and he walks into the aft deck house, the main crew head, and there's a hoist right there, and it's right in front of one of the showers. And he says, well, that's got to be a little tough for someone coming out of that shower. You got this huge metallic hoist about 6 inches away from where you want to step out. And so what that was I did a comparison of the inboard profile, and that's from a book called Anatomy of the Ship. and the book was published specifically about the Sullivans. Now, there is a regular Fletcher-class destroyer book, Anatomy of the Ship, different authors, but this one was specifically about the Sullivans, and it does show inboard profiles, not as in depth as I would have liked, because it would have been beautiful to see the 43, 45, and then he covers 59 as the last inboard profile. And so that shows when they removed Mount 53, they actually had to move the hoist a little bit. So instead of it moving much more at an angled from down below forward to Mount 53, they actually shoved it a little upwards. All right, maybe more like an uptake for a stack. And it curved, it hit the main deck closer than the original 5-inch hoist. And that was one of those changes. And you can see that in those two drawings, that they just take Mount 53 5-inch hoist and just shift it more directly in line with the actual handling room. And imagine what they had to do, cutting probably decks, not moving doors or anything like that, but certainly moving the angle of where it comes through the second platform, first platform, and then through the main deck. So, yeah, that was interesting to hear Tim's walk into the head and say, "Oh, you have a hoist right in the middle of the head. There's the sinks, there's the showers." It was fun. So that's what that represents.
I noticed that didn't make the video, so that's probably because of all the expletives I was saying.
Yes, that's true. Yes, Stephen and I worked. It was a long video, and I'm happy to do it. But I mean, we got about 40 minutes of stuff between the two parts there, so that was good. But yeah, so that's what that is about. Again, I don't even know if you're showing it because I still have the graded system on my screen, the 1945 picture.
No, yeah. So we've got that schematic up. It's in black and white, and
okay,
and
good.
so yeah, your description kind of coincided with what I had up on the screen. So then, what do you guys have? Do you have anything else that you're going to be either celebrating or reviewing this weekend for the 80th anniversary of the commission of the USS The Sullivans?
Stephen?
No. I mean, I don't personally.
So what you did today was the extent of the 80th anniversary.
Actually, I should rephrase that. So maybe not this weekend, but November 13th, I'll be doing like a student lecture on the Battle of Guadalcanal. So, trying to really focus our lectures and educational series on things very significant to the park, and that's something that is ultimately one of the most significant things to the history of USS The Sullivans. So, not to plug my own event, but
well, no, we can definitely get into that. I mean, for those of you that aren't familiar, you can definitely check out the Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park on YouTube. And, they talked about some of the videos that have recently been posted, especially with Tim Nesmith from the USS Kidd visiting. So if you haven't already, check out the Buffalo Naval Park on YouTube. Simply go into the search bar and type in Buffalo Naval Park, and their videos will come right up. And you can also check out their website, buffalonavalpark.org. So yeah, and so we might as well just jump into it. So what do you guys have coming up, since now it's technically fall? How do you close out the season?
Who starts?
Well, since I've got Buffalo Naval Park, let's Shane and Steven. So how do you guys close out the season?
So we're gonna go through straight till Thanksgiving, pretty much. We close the weekend right before Thanksgiving. We have the last big event that I have for the year is we do trick-or-treating on the ships. It's called Ship Retreat. And Shane and I are putting together a curation of Twilight Zone episodes to watch the night of that Ship Retreat event.
Very cool. Very cool.
Are you guys actually doing the Twilight episode that was filmed on
the Edson?
Yeah,
that's one of them.
Really?
I think you said what, Shane? You had like six to 8 episodes that we were gonna do.
Yeah, and I started watching them this week. I think there's 12 wartime episodes or episodes that deal with war or combat in some way, but we can't watch all 12. So I'm watching all of them, and I'm going to pick two. Maybe we could have 3 or 4 because they're half an hour each, so 2 hours, maybe 4 episodes. So yeah, that has to be one of them. The 30 Fathom Grave. That's what it's called. The 30 Fathom Grave, I believe, is the one with the Edson. Looking at Judgment Night, which is the U-boat captain who has to live the nightmare of a ship that he sank. So he's on a British freighter in a convoy, and he has to relive that night after night of the horror of the ship sinking. The Purple Testament is a good one.
How about Talking Tina?
My name's Tina. Yes. But honestly, I mean, today was a great day. I'm sure Steven covered it, but I mean, we had a Chiefs pinning ceremony. We had the Oklahoma City guys on board. We had our celebration. It was a lot of stuff that was going on, and it was a really busy day down at the waterfront. It was a nice day. So yeah, I think things begin to slow down. Oh, I finally see the schematic of the ship. How about that?
That's from like 20 minutes ago. Jeez.
We lost them.
So when you were doing this lecture for the Oklahoma City guys, that was on the
We lost them.
He's not on.
Oh, holy crap! You're right. We did lose him. All right. Well,
I can answer for him and make up stuff.
Go for it. Well, yeah. So where was he doing that lecture?
So they were there this morning on the USS Little Rock, but then he did the keynote address tonight at their dinner, which was at the Hyatt or a hotel in the area.
Okay. So it wasn't on board. And
no.
Let's see. So here, I wanted to pull up and this is probably for either, before we get to the kid, this question will either be for Tim or Steven. Eric asked if there was a book of plans of the Fletchers in PDF available for download somewhere. Do either you guys know the answer to that question?
Yeah, actually, I answered him in the chat.
You did?
You can contact Tin Can Sailors Incorporated over in Somerset, Massachusetts, and they can sell you a DVD with them.
Excellent. Yeah, it looks like Connor pulled that answer up. Thanks, Connor. Appreciate that.
Shane's back.
Do we? I suppose. How's your internet now?
It's just bad. I don't know. It's been bad for multiple days now, guys. I'm so sorry. So
that's all right.
I'm going to plug through. If I keep on freezing, I'm not going to back out like John Epp used to do, or, I'm going to plug through. And I'm sorry, you'll just have to deal with me.
Well, before we switch over to Tim and what he's got going on at the kid, obviously, we heard from Steven. What's left for the season from your side, Shane?
Yes, I'm beginning to. With the announcement that the 2025 HINZA symposium will be in Buffalo, I have begun to put together a 3-year plan for displays on board or historical fabric back on board. And I'll be meeting with a few other players, Paul, our president, Bill, and Brendan, and laying out a multi-year plan to present the ships in the best light. So I've developed about 32 projects maybe over the next 2.5 years, or 2 years roughly. And slowly and surely, scope of work, financials, and start opening and bringing back spaces and preserving and restoring them, and then building in the historical fabric. So it's a very exciting time. We just cannot say if the Sullivans will be there at that time. I do not know. Maybe not. She might be.
Well, hold on a second. So
Yes,
next
sir.
year, the
Yes.
Historic Naval Ships Association is going to be in San Diego, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Midway.
And then the following year, for 25, it's going to be at the Buffalo Naval Park.
Yeah.
That's correct.
See, I didn't know that. Well, that's pretty cool. But to your point, if things go well, the Sullivans will be in dry dock and possibly not be available for the conference.
Well, if things go well, it'll be back before that. So,
Well, good point. I guess that's a good way of looking at it. But I mean, hey, if it misses the conference because it's in dry dock, I don't care. That's just good news.
Yeah, ultimately, I think that would be good news. I see Michael Phillips' comment was highlighted. I love that. You have to figure out where you got it and then donate it. Then donate those blueprints, Michael. So figure it out where you got them and then donate them. But yeah, I mean, we're shooting for 2024 for her dry dock, but we just don't know where it goes. You know or where it goes from here. We just can't be too sure as of right now.
Yeah.
If it's 24, 25 or something, but it's a very exciting time. And we have, obviously, as Tim sees, and Connor was there with his dad on Friday after the conference, we have a wide variety of artifacts, it's not just Navy, it's Air Force and Army and Marines, and with all of our memorial gardens. So we have a very wide, diverse set of artifacts, and then it's just the resources to make sure they're in the best light.
Mm-hmm. Anything else,
Shane,
you guys? Oh, go ahead, Tim.
I want to touch on what you just said about the Memorial Gardens. We wrapped up filming, and I mentioned, if Shane's going to have a life, we have to leave. And we walked off the ships, locked it up, said goodbye, shook hands, wished each other well. He went to get in his car. I stuck around to take a few pictures because I hadn't had a chance to go through the gardens. And Shane, I spent a good 30 to 45 minutes walking through those gardens, taking photographs and everything. They are beautiful. I've been to museums. I've been to parks to where they have a lot of stuff in them, and it gets to look junky after a while. And you guys have done a fabulous job of having a lot of stuff there, but it's landscaped. You were telling me about the local garden club that comes in and does all the landscaping for you and everything. And it is beautiful. I can't say enough good things about it. I took more pictures, I think, in the gardens than I actually did on the ships.
It's pretty impressive. I mean, I've been there, and you can kind of see in this picture. First of all, you've got the three ships. You've got the Little Rock, you've got the Sullivans just down below, and then of course the USS Croker to the right. But then below all that in this photo, like you said, the gardens, and it's a pretty nice setup that they've got there. And yeah, it kind of gets overlooked, unfortunately, from time to time, but it is a major part of the visit. At least I think it should be.
Yeah, I agree.
I was very impressed.
The we also have the PTF boat there too, which is something that often gets overlooked because we have these three big vessels, and even I myself am constantly reminded, hey, we have four, not three, because I'll always say three as well. But you mentioned things being overlooked, like that's definitely one of them too, which is kind of you could see it in the picture, is kind of the start to the gardens as well.
I wonder if I have it. Well, here, why don't we switch over to Tim? What do you guys have coming up? Well, you don't shut down.
We don't have a season. It's all year long. Yeah.
Yeah. So why don't you mention what's coming up for the USS USS Kidd?
Well, right now, all sites are set on dry dock. The state appropriated 10 point something million. I forget. I'm not good with numbers. To go. Of course, money in hand hasn't happened, but the way government works, it's never going to be in our hand. We just hand them the bills. So everything at this point is getting ready to get her out of the cradle, and when the river comes up, and take her downstream. The bureaucratic process flows slowly, so we're getting to the point to where we're hopefully able to talk with shipyards and then make a decision from there about where we'll go. But in the meantime, we had some volunteers here back earlier in the year from a nuclear engineering group, and one of them was really interested in the ship, and I pitched to him. I said, "Hey, why don't you come with me? I need some electrical work checked out." And we took him down into the bosun's locker and I said, "Take a look at the anchor windlass system, because I want to know if I can energize it, put it into gear and drop an anchor or raise an anchor, because it hasn't been done since 82, when they anchored her out in the river before the cradle was ready. And we're going to need that if we're getting out and the shipyard's not ready for us. We've got to drop anchor somewhere." So he was here yesterday, looked it over, and all signs are good that we might be able to energize that real soon. Getting just
that would be pretty great. I mean, is the idea that you're literally going to drop an anchor and then winch it back up, or would you drop it slowly?
Oh, we'd probably drop it slowly, I'm sure.
Oh no, I'd want to see
with a tugboat.
Drop it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be Battleship with the Missouri cutting the anchor chain, but because the Mississippi River does have pipelines going under it, so we got to be careful where we drop it. But
all right,
one of the things I've wanted to do since before we even started talking about dry docking, I watched Slater's dry dock presentation at Hensa 14 in Norfolk, and they had their windlass working, still have their windlass working, and they lowered their anchor in dry dock and played all the chain out, disconnected it from the ship, went ahead and lowered it on down to the deck of the dry dock, blasted and painted the anchors and the chains. And then the big thing for me was they got into the chain locker and looked at where all the salt residue had done deterioration to the bulkheads and the decks of that locker, and then made repairs, painted, fixed it up, reattached, brought it all back in. And I remember that had been my first Hensa in well over a decade. And I remember looking around the room and there were a lot of people going, "Oh, I never thought of that." And Rizzuto and Zakowski had a lot of people picking their brain after that session. So nobody has looked in the chain locker aboard Kidd until last December, when we got a bunch of kids with an Eagle Scout project to bring out probably about 2,500 feet of rope, if I remember, of line, 2-inch line that had been just coiled up forever down there. And we popped it open. I looked inside and took a picture and sent it to Tim and said, "When's the last time you saw the chain in the chain locker?" And his response was, "I don't think I ever saw it." So that's, somebody may not have seen it since the ship was moored out in the river in early '82 before he got here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, do you have you guys posted pictures of that on your Facebook group or anything like that?
Yeah, if you go on our Facebook page and hit the search function and put in chain locker, you'll see the kids hauling the line, because it was all a solid piece of line. It was very obviously a mooring line, but just to be able to handle it, we had to get multiple scouts, some pulling it out of the locker, pushing it up one level, bringing it through the bosun's locker, up the forward deck hatch ladder, and then coiling it on the main deck. And the rope was so old, we were like, we can't use it for mooring anymore because we just can't trust it. So they had bolt cutters, and they sheared through the rope and cut it into like 150-foot sections that maybe we could use for something else that's not so, not so dependent. We got to make sure it doesn't separate as mooring the ship, but we can use it for other stuff. But yeah, you can see those kids doing all that hard work, and then the pictures of the chain and the chain locker.
Yeah. I remember you showing me those pictures at the conference last week, Tim. I think that was before they went live. And the second I saw your chain locker, I went, "Oh shoot. When was the last time anyone was in ours?"
That was everybody's reaction in the room when Rizzuto and Zakowski showed those pictures in 14. So you don't think about it because it's down in the interior of the ship, and nobody ever sees it. There's one entrance. It's not where the public goes. We're all focused on making sure it's safe and presentable for the public, but there's areas in the ships that nobody ever sees because it's crawl spaces.
Yeah, the only museum ship I've ever seen that has its chain locker on display is the LST-393 in Muskegon. They have their chain locker on the port side accessible to the public. But yeah, like you never think of it otherwise.
Yeah.
For the I'm sorry guys, I'm getting cut out. But for the Sullivans, when prior to her sinking in April of last year, our chain locker and bosun locker near, moving towards the peak, was at least the door was open that people could look at. They couldn't go in there, but they were able to at least look into the anchor windlass, not the chain locker per se, but the anchor windlass leading forward through the stores. The medical stores were up there, and that was available to be viewed on the tour route.
Neat.
Yeah, when I was there, I don't know if I saw that or not. At least I don't remember seeing that.
Did we take you to the anchor windlass on Little Rock? Because that's my dirtiest job for you, man.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely missed that.
Okay.
But yeah, so something, that seeing something like that would be pretty neat. If you want to check out those photos, definitely go to to check out the USS Kidd Veterans Museum, their Facebook page. What's that?
Nothing.
Oh, okay. So, but Tim, you were saying that's on the USS Kidd Veterans Museum's Facebook page?
Facebook page and probably Instagram as well. Yeah.
Okay. And additionally, you can check out the USS Kidd Veterans Museum at usskidd.com. If you want to support them in any way, check out their website, usskidd.com, and the Facebook page. And of course, search for their YouTube videos on YouTube. Simply go to the search bar and enter USS Kidd Veterans Museum, and it'll come right up.
And
anything
we'll be
else?
splashing Ryan Szymanski tomorrow night at this time.
That's coming up tomorrow evening?
That's tomorrow evening. He's on a high seas history.
Gotcha. Let's see. Anything else you wanted to add before we move on to Connor?
I just want to thank Shane for spending the day and taking me around and letting me do that research, because his mess deck ladder well and Cass and Young's mess deck ladder well, very informative for what we've got to do to rip out our dumbwaiter and restore the steward's berthing back to World War II era. That helps quite a bit. And do you want me to talk about you, Ken, right now, or you want to do it a little bit later?
Well, all right, real quick before we move on to Connor, go ahead.
All right. So because of this series for the 80th anniversary for the Fletchers that Ken has been hosting and moderating for us, we had the opportunity to nominate him for an award with the Louisiana Association of Museums. And LAM has an award called the Media Support Award. And as a result, it's for somebody who is able to, through their various media, radio, TV, internet, is able to significantly help a Louisiana museum. And because of this series, we decided that Ken should be nominated. We put in the nomination, and LAM agreed with us. So Mr. Ken Stapp of History X is the 2023 Media Support Award recipient for the Louisiana Association.
Isn't that fabulous? Well done. Well done.
Yeah, I when Tim told me about this, I was really surprised, because when I started the YouTube channel History X, I never thought anything like that would come about. I mean, to get recognized. So when you guys, actually it all started, if you think about it, with Shane and Steven with the 2000 watch for the Buffalo Naval Park. It was their idea to really put something like this together when they said, hey, well, we should get John Epp to join us, and I don't know, maybe that History X guy Ken, to join us and create, put it all together.
Ken, you have definitely brought it to a place we never thought we could. So definitely take the credit. You deserve
man.
it.
Well, I will definitely take the credit and say thank you, definitely. But if it wasn't for Shane and Steven having the idea and then say, hey, we should have that History X guy. Well, as soon as you guys said that, it's like, yeah, I'll figure this out. I will totally figure out how we can get all of us on YouTube together. And that's what this is kind of turned into. So I'm thrilled, and I definitely appreciate Tim nominating me for the award. And definitely thank you.
Wow, great job, Tim.
Yeah,
Well
I don't want to appear unappreciative, so I
don't.
definitely appreciate it, and pretty cool. so thank you, Tim, for doing that.
And
You're
thanks
very
to all
welcome.
of our
I'll get it shipped out to you.
And thanks to all of our fans. I mean, there's people saying congratulations. So this can't be done without people watching our program. Which is it's a testament to that we're kind of goofy, we're kind of knowledgeable. So yeah, it's congratulations, well done to Tim for thinking of it, you and Parks, and then of course Ken for actually being awarded that. That's wonderful.
Yeah, and in the same breath, as I understand it, Shane got or received some type of award from the HINSA.
Yes.
Is that true?
He did.
So what was that?
The biggest goofball award, yeah.
It was HINSA's 2023 Sexiest Man Alive Award.
Oh, well, hello. Yes.
Oh, wait.
It's a new category.
I thought you guys were being serious that Shane got an award.
No, he did. He got the Curator Award.
He did get the Curator Award. All right, well then let's take that seriously, because if you think about it, this whole Museum Ship Mafia for me, it's like herding cats, because you've got John, Curator, you've got Steven, Curator, you've got Connor now, Curator. Steven is the educational director, so technically not a curator, but to get all these guys together, it can be tricky sometimes. So congratulations, Shane, Curator Award for 2023, correct?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was, I share it with, they gave it out, they gave 2 awards this year, one to Frank at the USS Missouri. He did a lot of work. They spent all of 22 and most of 23 bringing the collections off of the USS Missouri into a building they had had built for about $4 million, I believe he said. And so it's managing the collections, taking them off of a ship. Even if it's a battleship, it's still a ship. And then for me, for the work that I did for the collections when the Sullivans sank. So.
Gotcha. Well, congratulations. I mean, that was a lot of work, and you in order when those, to get the collections secured when the Sullivans took on water, that was not a small job. So if anyone deserved, that kind of recognition, you definitely did.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I learned more about Shane last Monday than in all the years that I've known him since 2018. And I can tell you, he's got a passion for his collection. And you can see it just from what he was describing earlier. He's mapping stuff out years in advance as far as exhibits. So well-deserved there as well.
Thank you, Tim. Very nice.
Definitely. Well, let's, before we move on to Connor at the Alexander Henry, I want to at least mention, he's not on tonight, because of bronchitis, but for those of you that wanted to check out the USS Slater's YouTube channel, simply search for the USS Slater in the search bar, and you'll come up with all of their videos. John Epp, who is the curator of the USS Slater, his bronchitis, he just didn't want to join us tonight, but normally he's on with us. And you can also check out the USS Slater website at ussslater.org. So definitely check them out and check out the content that they put out there. Just John couldn't be on with us tonight. So, and with that being said, let's move on to the Alexander Henry. So Connor, what's the story over there?
Well, firstly, I'd just like to point out that if you search up the photographs from the award ceremony at HINSA, Shane is wearing an absolutely lovely Alexander Henry hat in his photos, which I had given him, and I tried my best to give out these hats. But to answer your question about what's going on in the Henry, our regular season has come to an end as of the 24th. So we're no longer open to the general public. Just waiting for Google Maps to update that. But what we're doing now is our event called Haunted Harbor, where we partner with an organization called Our Kids Count to basically turn the 2 lower decks of the tourable space into a haunted house for the evening. And this has been our first weekend where it's Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 7 o'clock until 10:30, I believe. And it's been going pretty well so far. I've only been able to attend one of them so far, but I've heard pretty good reviews so far. So that's what we're doing now, and that's kind of our last big event of the season. Then we shut down. I myself have been frantically running back and forth from the ship to our onshore office, moving artifacts that can be damaged by cold weather to our climate-controlled office because, well, obviously, unfortunately, unlike you guys at Buffalo, I don't have heating on my boat yet. So just as an aside, very quickly, I also went to visit the Buffalo Naval Park after the Henza conference. And I must say, the work you guys are doing there is spectacular. My dad was with me. He tagged along, and we were both extremely impressed with what you guys had there. And I will say this, the Little Rock, which I'm wearing the hat of, is the first museum ship where I'm walking through it and I realize I don't know which way is forward. Like every other museum ship I've been on, I know which way is forward, I know which way is aft, I know which side is port, and I know which side is starboard. But I'm walking through a corridor on Little Rock, and I just realized I've never been on a ship this big before, and I think I might be lost. And I cannot imagine the work you guys have to put in to get her looking as good as she does and just have her in the condition she is. And I know we're all like this. We see our own ship. We see every single flaw. But I was impressed. And seeing probably 8 to 10 guys working away on Sullivans, completely redoing an interior space, it made me feel good that, yes, the Sullivans can and I believe will pull out of its crisis. And you guys are doing a fantastic job there as far as I'm concerned. So I look forward to coming again in 2025.
Yeah, they're actually pulling it together. It's looking really good. So for those of you that get a chance to visit the Buffalo Naval Park, you'll see the work that they're doing. Mm-hmm. Anything else you wanted to add, Connor? Winding down the season.
Not too much. Of course, I will just say to any Canadian viewers who might be attending, we all close down for the winter. Every single one of Canada's museum ships closes for the winter. Support your local museum ship if you have one in your area. We just can't function like the guys on Kid can. It's just not feasible. So support your local museum ship, whether it be buying from their online store, from their just sending a donation, or just following their social media if they have one. Because, and I will say this for the Americans as well, we're always needing the support. So I really appreciate that. This year has been a challenging but very successful year for us, and we just can't wait to return in the second half of May 2024.
Well, and the one thing I failed to mention, or I should mention, is that Connor Kilgore is also one of the administrators for the Museum Ships Facebook group. So you definitely have to check out the Facebook group Museum Ships. Between 10 and 20 posts a day about museum ships. So Connor's absolutely right. Support the museum ships. I mean, obviously, I always say one of the easiest and yet most effective ways to support a museum ship is check out their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Watch their videos, give them views, become a subscriber, and support their content. Because if they reach 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours, they can all of a sudden start generating revenue, and that is a definite advantage. So when it comes to the USS Kidd, the USS Slater, the Buffalo Naval Park, of course, you can also check out Battleship New Jersey. That is a classic example of the way that you can grow an audience. So check out their YouTube channel, check out their Facebook group, check out their website without a doubt. And when it comes to Connor, you can check out the Alexander Henry on www.tmtb.ca. That's tmtb.ca, and you can check out their website there as well.
You can also find us on Facebook at the Transportation Museum of Thunder Bay. It is the black and white logo.
Got it. All right, guys, before we wind this down, anything else you wanted to add?
He muted himself again.
Shane, why do you keep muting yourself? I just tried to unmute him.
Come on.
He's saying thank you
Thank you.
to somebody.
All right. Thank you, Shane.
To Tim?
He's saying thank you to Tim, I guess. Yeah, and we should
Thank
definitely
you.
No, he's saying he's taking the thank you back.
Okay, I'm taking it back then.
All right. So, yeah, Tim, thanks for joining us tonight. Supervisor of the USS Kidd. You can check out Tim at their YouTube channel, USS Kidd Veterans Museum, and the website, usskid.com. Thank you, Tim Nesmith, for joining us tonight. And remember, it's also the 80th anniversary of the commissioning of the Fletcher-class destroyer, USS The Sullivans. So definitely check out their website, buffalonavalpark.org. All right. So now that we interpreted what Shane was trying to say, is there anything else that you guys wanted to add?
Well, to the guy Tony who just said that if I'm ever on New Jersey, I'll get super lost. I'm sure I will. I plan to get down there someday.
Oh, yeah, I would love to check out the New Jersey as well. So,
yeah.
All right. Well, if there isn't anything else, I will sign us off. My name is Ken from the YouTube channel History X. Thank you for joining us tonight. We will have another episode of Museum Ship Mafia coming up in a couple of weeks. Like I said, we do that the second Wednesday of each month, so keep an eye out for that. For John Epp, the USS Slater, Stephen Tedesco at the Buffalo Naval Park, Shane Stevenson at the Buffalo Naval Park, and Connor Gilgore at the Alexander Henry, I will say my name's Ken Stano from the YouTube channel History X. Thank you for joining us on a Saturday night, and everyone have a great evening.
Good night.
Yep.
Good night.